Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 117. I'm your host, as always, Dan from Playtest VR, and I'm joined by my co-host, who's no longer Santa Samson. The hat's gone. Christmas has passed. How you doing, Samson?
Yeah, Christmas was so last month, and it's the new year, Dan. And as we know, I like to start every new year trying to wear hats for every pod. No, I think I did that once, like 2 years ago.
Okay, I was like,
it's really we're recording early in the morning. Well, I am semi early in the morning, and my bed head was a bit out of control, so I threw a different hat on today.
That's fair. Yeah, the tables are turned. Normally, recording earlier on my end, obviously being in Pacific time, but being in the UK for this one last week, the tables are flipped. Shall I say? The tables are flipped.
Yeah, I've got my morning Joe. You know, that's what we call coffee here. I don't know. They call it Joe coffee.
I think we're just normally tea drinkers more than anything, but that's just how it is. Samson, it being Christmas time, do you have a good VRing on Christmas, or is it more of the same?
Yeah, I got into, we'll talk about what we got into this week, but I did get into some Racket Club yesterday.
Nice.
And I talked to a few people who got some Quest 2s for Christmas.
Oh, sweet. Nice. Did you give anyone your Quest 3 to play around with at all over this holiday, this time, or?
No, I haven't seen anybody who's not in my family, really.
Yes, and who's maybe already got a Quest right now anyway, because you've been doing it over the last 2 years. So they've probably already got one by now.
Exactly. I did have a friend who I had previously played Flight Sim with a month or so ago. Mm-hmm. He got one for Christmas, and he was getting his whole family. He's been traveling with them. He got them into VR and all that.
Nice. I put my dad in First Encounters this morning. I thought
how'd that go?
Because he's played Vader Immortal and such on my Quest 2, so I wanted to give him something completely different. And the mixed reality I thought was a great idea. He absolutely loved it because the living room in our family home is perfectly set up with it because it's just a rectangle room. It's nothing too complicated. Where back in my Vancouver house, we've got random edges and walls and all that stuff. It's just a little bit different. So here's it's the perfect rectangle. So it maps out so nicely. And everything just works so seamlessly. And he had a great time. He had such a fun time doing it. I also got him in Racket Club, but the dimensions didn't work too much. And I forgot that you could technically change it a little bit. But I didn't do that. I think in the settings you can adjust where it is and move it around a bit. The actual
I haven't done that yet, but I did see that that's an option.
Yeah, so I'll try and do that later. And then I was trying Drop Dead, the cabin as well with that, because I marked out the windows and the door and the table and such like that. But because the living room had Christmas tree in there and all that stuff, it just still didn't really work well in that room.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it was a bit too complicated for him having to get the ammunition. It was just another step up, where mm-hmm. First Encounters, you just grab the gun and you just shoot, right?
Yeah, there's no reloading.
Yeah, so it was a bit too complex, so we couldn't really get that one working as well, shall I say. But yeah, First Encounters was a hit. It was an absolute hit.
Very nice. Yeah, I really like that one. I wish the room that I want to use that one in most for showing my dad or my mother, there's vaulted ceilings, so it looks weird when the ceiling breaks and it's 6 feet below where the ceiling actually is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is in the UK, most people have quite low ceilings, or I won't say low, very average ceilings, maybe 7 or 8 foot.
You all, I'm picturing the Shire. I'm pretty certain you all just live like hobbits. Yeah,
you're not far off. You're not far. Everything is smaller here. The light switches are smaller. Everything's smaller.
What is this? A country for ants?
It's different. North America is they do things big. Anyways, this is going to be more of a. Every episode is more of a kind of laid back, chilled out, relaxing vibe. That's just how our podcasts normally are. But today more so. You got your cup of Joe. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through some listener questions, go through obviously what we've been playing. And then the second part, we're just going to have a quick review of the whole year, in general and such, and go through significant months. And it's funny because there were a lot of months early on where there's like nothing and nothing happened, and it's all in the tail end. So we'll go through that. But before we go through, I just want to mention in the Discord, feel free. Obviously, there might be some new listeners today after just getting their quests this past week over Christmas. So, if you're new to the channel or you're new to the podcast, we on YouTube as well as audio. Normally my video stream looks a little bit nicer, but we're on potato cam on this MacBook here. But
CRT TV LTO.
exactly. We have the Discord group below. There's almost 200 people, if not just over 200 now. I can't remember exactly the count. Join us in there. Sometimes we do multiplayer, sometimes we do big screen, but in general, a lot of people are talking about VR in there.
Dan,
it's a good community.
I've got so last month I inquired about some tournaments. I threw out like 5 game options, and Walkabout had 13 or 14 people interested in some sort of tournament. So come January, I'm going to, which is, next week really. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start trying to get our first LTO Walkabout tournament. I don't know what to call it yet. Yeah. It's early in development, but we're going to be doing something. And if you want to play Walkabout with the LTO gang, come on down to the Discord.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've been enjoying Racket Club so much, I'm pretty certain I'm going to throw in that one after.
Yeah, I'm having a great time at Racket Club. And also on that same thing, we also do a lot of giveaways randomly. Sometimes we don't even announce it on the pod. It just happens. Like, here's a code.
Yeah, especially my Steam ones. Sometimes I pick up a Humble bundle or a Fanatical bundle, and I've just
dump them
games
in
that I've already got there.
Yeah, just dump them. And then if you really love us, join us on Patreon. Throw us $1. That would be great to keep the likes rolling in here. And speaking of Patreon, we have a new Patreon, Tracy. She just joined just before Christmas. To the show, and she said I messaged her and basically I said, give me like a little bit of an intro, like, what is your like Quest experience? And she said she is brand new to VR and picked up a Quest 3 last weekend. So far I have been experimenting a bit with many different games to see what is out there. I started with 7th Guest today and really like it. Beat Saber and Synth Riders are super fun too. So thank you so much, Tracy, for first supporting the channel. I believe I gave you the Discord link. I believe she's in the Discord, but I just don't know the name.
I think so.
I should have messaged her that, what her name is in the Discord. But she's in the Discord somewhere in there. And she kind of starts off the podcast well, because let's get into our listener questions first, because we have a few. And she had a question. So she said, I would love to get a few tips on dealing with VR motion sickness. Is it better to start with more stationary games and work up to others? I tried Asgard's Wrath 2 and it was awful. Is VR something that you can get your body used to and eventually not be affected? Samson, maybe you start off with what you'd offer as advice to Tracy here.
Yeah, I can offer some advice. I am lucky enough to I fell into preparing my body for VR unintentionally, in that I started on the Quest 1 and it was just uncomfortable to be in that thing for longer than 45 minutes to an hour. I'm pretty certain I used to cap out pretty much at 35 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I was just playing VR in short stints because of that. I was playing mostly Beat Saber and Deasim, which is the head doesn't have movement and everything's below you, and you're sort of building a civilization as you can walk and move around that way. I think it's teleport, or maybe you pull yourself. I'm not sure. Regardless, pretty easy on movement. So both of those was how I got started. And I'd say, but it's not like this for everybody. I know my college buddy has been into VR, and he doesn't necessarily, it might be because he doesn't play necessarily weekly. He'll play more intermittently. And so it's harder for his legs to really get built up. But as we've been playing more Walkabout, he has said to me, oh, wow, this feels better already. So just being consistent with it. And the second you start to feel sick, don't push through. Just take a break, an hour, a day, whatever, however long you need, and come back another time.
Yeah.
And I would say, just be really aware of the options out there, movement options like teleporting, turning on the vignette, snap and smooth turning. Some people say snap is feels better for them. Some people say smooth is better for them motion sickness wise. So I'd say try them both. See which feels better.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of just build on that, you mentioned accessibility. Assassin's Creed Nexus has a ton of accessibility options, and you can also play it seated as well. So, um, I mean, I'm the one who's kind of stubborn, who looks at those accessibility, like, nah, I'll turn it all off because I want the full immersive experience. But that's always not the best idea, and it doesn't really matter. The main thing is you're enjoying the game. And most of them, especially with Assassin's Creed, like if you have the vignette on and such, or the auto parkour and such, it's quite not. It's not very invasive and doesn't really detract from the experience as much. Like you do a leap of faith from the top, and that's for those of you who don't know the leap of faith. It's like if you're in the top of a building and you jump into the hay. There's like these lines that appear as you're jumping, and it's fine. It doesn't really detract from the game at all like that, but it just helps with you not feeling motion sick.
Yeah, Dan, I hopped into Assassin's Creed again, and I was at the top of a building, and I was trying to look for hay down below to see if I could do a leap of faith, and I walked too far, and I just walked right off the
Me
building,
too.
and I got that feeling of like, oh shit, I'm falling, and luckily my guy survived. So, but he was like nearly dead, so I had to find a place to go
I've done that
hide and
before too.
regen health. But yeah, that I because I didn't really intend to do it. I was like, "Whoa, God, I'm falling!" I felt it in my stomach, and
Yeah.
it's such a unique feeling for me now in VR to get that. It felt
It,
pretty cool.
yeah, for sure.
Looping back though to the VR sickness, a lot of apps on the Oculus Store will also have a comfort setting, and it'll be moderate. I actually don't know what the other
I
ones
think
are,
it's
but
moderate,
one is like
intense, and then comfortable.
comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So you might want to look. This isn't like I haven't looked at all the games and made a judgment on how accurate it is, but it should offer you if you stick to comfortable games. It should help
Yeah.
you.
And the game's like, once again, using Assassin's Creed, because the perfect example here, Assassin's Creed's marked as comfortable in the Oculus Store, the Quest Store. But the thing is, if you play that game with all the like vignettes and such turned off, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel more in the
Okay,
intense scale. And the reason why it says comfort is because it has all those options potentially in the
makes
settings to
sense.
change it. So yeah, don't ignore those options. But for me, like I still get motion sick from time to time, even when I'm playing Assassin's Creed. It still happens a little bit, but I've definitely improved since ever doing this podcast. And I would say, just like Samson said, in terms of small bursts, I would say even 15 minutes when you're first starting out on something more intense. When it's something like Beat Saber and Synth Riders, you can probably get away with a lot more because it's a little bit different. But when you're playing something like Assassin's Creed or even like a pistol whip where you're standing but things are moving at you really fast, like a whole environment's moving at you really fast, that can be a bit intense. So really don't try and push it. I've been on the scale. I'm sure, Samson, you've been on that option too, where you've just tried to push it because whatever, you'll probably get over it and such. But no, you do feel really bad afterwards if you do get motion sick. And I know my roommate, he was playing Mist when he played. He loved Mist, the old like the PC version. So in the VR version, he really want to try it. But he played that game for like 15, 20 minutes and it just moved really fast. He turned off all the motion sickness stuff and it moved really fast and he got motion sick and he's not played it since. He might occasionally jump into that walkabout now and again,
Ruined
but
him.
he really hasn't played it as much as he used to. He used to borrow it from me all the time. So yeah, just take it in steps. Sit down when you can as well, and all the other motion sick stuff like drinking lots of water and such. I'm wondering if those motion sick bands work. I don't know if anyone's tried them who's listening. Let us know in the comments in YouTube or something like that if you've tried the motion sick bands and if they work. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can get work up to, and don't ignore any of the accessibility stuff. Games like Red Matter 1 and 2 are actually perfect with the teleportation or how it floats and such to get used to bigger kind of titles and that. And I mean, the Seventh Guest you're playing right now, that's actually a great game to start off because you're moving, but you're not moving too much. You're not running. Running is what really still kind of gets me sometimes, to be honest.
Sprinting, flying.
Sprinting, flying, yeah, exactly. But yeah, if anyone else has got any more tips or anything like that for Tracy, let us know in the YouTube comments or on the Discord. Pop it in there, and I'm sure it will help. All right, moving on. Henry on Spotify. I actually don't know if Henry's in the Discord, but he kind of now and again puts a Q&A in the Spotify, which is quite nice. And he put,
Oh,
my
yeah.
question for you is a year in review of your personal favorite and least favorite walkabout courses from this year. And I kind of want to stop there because we are intending to do a podcast all about this. So we will actually review
Well,
this in the
we'll
new
be
year.
taking that will be our overall, right? These are more just from this release year, right?
Yeah, I mean, the podcast will
Episode.
also be
Yeah.
just for this release year. I feel
Yeah.
like we can't do an overall walkabout ranking because it's too.
What? We always do all of them. Although last time we never did all the hard because
There's so
we
much
spent
though.
all
I
our
think we
time
got
on
to
the
the
easy.
point where we have to do it yearly rather than. There's so much. Sams, do you have any things any courses
3 hour pod.
that jump out at you that you can remember, or before we move on?
Yeah. I mean, from this year's releases, there's been 4 or 5, I think. I'd be remiss to not pick Meow Wolf as my favorite.
Yeah.
And I think my least favorite would probably be Alfheim.
Yeah, that's
But that
fair.
sort of feels a little cheeky because it's also sort of the only one that released without a sort of like other feature, like Laser Lair had the lasers, the
Yeah.
haunted house had the ghosts,
Yeah.
and a few other moving
Yeah, like it was very much back
courses.
to
Yeah,
purely
back to
like the
basics. Yeah,
basics kind of thing, but with the most beautiful aesthetic though, Alfheim. So
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah. It's not the worst course. It's got to be framed as least favorite.
least yeah. I mean the thing is, I don't think any. I would say the only one is Upside Down where it could really divide people just because of how those mechanics are. Because some people, it is like take it or leave it, and I guess Laser Layer kind of may play into that as well. But yeah, apart from that, like you can't. They're all great. They're all
Yeah.
great. And to Tracy, our new patron, if you haven't picked up Walkabout, definitely. And to everyone new, I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. In our Discord, we have the Quest referrals. So everyone who buys games always posts their referral links in there. And also in the description of this podcast, Samson's got his mega list of a
Yeah.
Google list where it has a bunch of 25% codes. So definitely take advantage of that.
Apparently, they've nerfed it a bit, Dan. So once 5 or so 25% have been used, it goes down to 10%. So just an FYI.
So if it's 10% in Samsung's, don't use Samsung's. Go into the Discord and there might be some more 25s in there.
Yeah, there's no real way to tell, unfortunately, unless you
Unless you try it.
do it.
Yeah. That's fair. I'm not sure about it right now. I feel like I need to go and play them all again. Widow's Walkabout stands out for me in terms of like I was generally scared. I had to turn the spiders off, and that little like character that just appears out of nowhere,
Yeah,
and
little
different,
doll.
and no one else can see it apart from you. It's like it really that always for some reason creeped me out. So that one really sticks in my mind. But like I said, we'll do a podcast in the new year, maybe in a couple of weeks' time. I think next week we'll probably do more of a predictions or like hopes of 2024. But yeah, we will do a podcast on it early, so we'll go through them properly. Okay, so we had another question from Shoes on Discord. He says, or she says, or they say, I don't know, Shoes, right? It's just shoes.
Well, it's 2 shoes.
That's 2 shoes, yeah. They say, what has been your biggest surprise in VR this year and your biggest disappointment? He also says, any hidden gems on App Lab that you'd recommend?
That's a tough one.
That is a very, very tough one. But I start with the start of the question. My biggest surprise, and I'm not, this sounds like it shouldn't be a surprise, but my biggest surprise in VR this year is how good Assassin's Creed is. These big titles sometimes, and with a lot of hype and a lot of delays, sometimes don't deliver. Look at Medal of Honor for a lot of people, it didn't deliver. Look at Ghostbusters this year, didn't deliver, right?
Yeah.
Some of these bigger titles always disappoint, especially when you're waiting for a very long time. And I've absolutely love this game from start to finish. Like, it's so much fun, and we'll talk about it and what we've been playing, but like I've been playing it a lot. Like, I always want to jump back in and such. So that would be definitely my biggest surprise. And my biggest disappointment, I don't know if I have a biggest disappointment, but it'll definitely be I'm more worried. This is my biggest worry. How about we'll say worry instead, because I don't even know what's disappointing. My biggest worry is that there's so many good, decent games that have come out over the last month, 2 months, 3 months, since October, basically, that I'm worried for next year in terms of early on. And as we do our review in part 2, you'll notice that the start of this year, or at least the first like 9 months of it, is pretty bleak. There's nothing going on, and I don't really want that next year. I want it to be a nice little spread out. So that's my biggest worry. I'd say, just to flip the question. Samson, you got any thoughts on this biggest surprise and disappointment or worry?
Yeah. My biggest surprise is, well, I'm going to take this on a real personal level here, because, Shoes can ask anybody what their surprise is, and if everybody's saying the same surprise, it doesn't really offer Shoes much help. Yeah. So my biggest surprise was how into VR shooters I got this year, because prior to this year, I really did not particularly play them much. It was sort of like my flat screen first person shooting, which is like, casually here and there. I'd pick up Halo if my brother wanted to play Halo.
Yeah.
And I would do terribly. I never owned like a Rainbow Six game or like Call of Duty. I never really got into.
Yeah.
And yeah, just with VR, I've gotten into Pop 1. I gotten into Breachers weekly. And yeah, that's just a surprise to me. It's crazy to me how much more immersed I am and how much more I understand a first-person shooter when it's me embodying it, as opposed to playing it flat. For example, I was just playing Halo 2 nights ago over this Christmas break, and the other team, 2 of them quit right off the bat, and there was just one person who wasn't playing. So it was just me, my brother, and 2 randoms against one person who was just randomly spawning. And I didn't know the map. So I'm like going all around. I don't know the spawn points, and I'm just goofing around. And we go up 1-0. Somebody gets on our team. I'm like, oh, cool. At least like I'm going to get the win out of this. And then one of my teammates, just joking around, shoots me with a rocket, and it goes 0-0. And I just start laughing, and he can hear me. He's not mic'd up, though. He starts typing. He just types in, I'm just joking. I'm like, this is so much fun. Like, I've never really experienced this type of camaraderie or immersion almost in a flat game. Like, all you can do is crouch and shoot one another. And it made me realize how much why I like them in VR more. It's like you can wave. There's so much more interactability. Yeah. And it's just like what I was experiencing there in Halo, except 10 times more immersive and more expressive. And yeah, that's why I think I love those first-person shooters.
Fair. I would just a surprise for me for you, as like on your end, is that how much you've got into Golf Plus this year. I would not have placed that, but I know you obviously love Walkabout as well. But like Golf Plus, you've been in almost every day.
Yeah, I've since lost my streak, but I did play again last night. With my brother. Yeah, Golf Plus was one I got into really early in VR. I was able to get a few of my friends in, but at that point they didn't have full swing. It was all pro putt. And I spent a lot of my time just playing pro putt. And then once Walkabout sort of took the lead on more pro putt, more like mini golf, if you will. I was like, yeah, all right, I'm good on full swing.
Yeah.
And then, life just, took a turn, I guess, in the players I used to play with that. We drifted away, and now my brother's back, and we're back in Golf Plus, baby.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. All right. Any disappointments or anything?
Yeah, so when I answered this question in my little Google Doc, I just skipped over the negative one. I guess I didn't want to answer that one. So I was like really trying to scroll through our list here of what happened this year.
Yep.
And I mean, but it's hard for me to say a personal disappointment, right? Like something like Grid Legends, I never really played. I wasn't looking forward to it, so it's not really a disappointment for me because it's
Of
just more
course.
like it don't it just don't exist.
Yeah.
So I
I mean, you don't
I don't
need to. If you
really
don't, if you were
yeah, I
disappointed,
don't I'm trying to really think of something that disappointed me, and it's not coming to me right now. Maybe throughout the pod, if you keep listening, you get a disappointment out of me.
yeah,
But
I don't,
I can
didn't think there
no
was any
good.
disappointments for me. That's why I went for the worried, because
Mm.
I don't know. I was maybe disappointed that the the price of the no, maybe disappointed that the strap, the soft strap, was still uncomfortable. And such that, you know, it might be more hardware probably disappointments than anything, but yeah, in terms of like actual software stuff and games or anything like that, it's been quite
Yeah.
solid end of the year especially.
And then hidden gems on App Lab. I actually haven't hopped in it in a few months probably, but I'll just always name it because I love it. It's Grab VR. It's a parkour type of game. You can meet up with your friends. It's a little hard to navigate, I think. Through the menus, and there's just it's so much user generated content that is a bit
Mhm.
intimidating to find levels that you might like. But grab, and I'm gonna go ahead and name Bocce Time too.
Yeah, we love bocce time over here. The only one I could, because I don't think I've played many App Lab games. Oh,
Dan, I almost forgot. You know, our friends over at Disc Golf Heiser Flip.
yes.
I don't want to disclose everything he's got coming, but mixed reality gonna be a part of that game at some point and I'm excited.
Oh, that's
It's
gonna be
cool.
fun. The only thing I know I've talked about this very recently at the podcast, but the JFK Memento is on App Lab, and that was really good. I still have not finished it yet. I should do because I still think
He
it's
dies. Just letting you know.
yeah. I think that was covered at the start. But me, but that was amazing. I don't know if anyone missed that podcast. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. I mentioned JFK Memento. You can see two free episodes on Oculus TV, but they're in good quality, but not as good as if you just buy and download the App Lab one, which is I believe $7.99 around that
Oh, I
price.
see. It's on Oculus TV and it's an app.
Yes, App Lab for as Oculus TV for the first two episodes, but you buy the app on App Lab for the rest of it. I can't remember how many parts there are anymore. I think there's 4 to 6 potentially. That
Can
could be
you
completely bogus. But you
can
can,
you watch the first parts on the App Lab? Like if you
yeah,
buy it,
yeah, you
or
download them
okay,
too. You
okay,
can download them so you can get them at more higher of a quality. And that was just
I got
amazing.
you.
I would like to see more documentaries done like that in VR. It's just so immersive. It puts you at the scene. It's amazing. I loved it. So I would say that's probably my App Lab. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really messed around with App Lab as much. That's the problem with App Lab. It's kind of like it's really hidden, and also it's getting worse and worse, full of like some crap stuff, but also some really good stuff that really should be on the store. You know, it's just it's a weird
It's hard
mix.
to it's hard to sift through. I did play a new App Lab title though, Dan. I was going to cover it in what we've been playing, but I guess I'll just talk about it
Go for
here.
it.
So I saw on Reddit, this App Lab subreddit, a game called Air Hockey VR,
Mm,
and I was immediately intrigued. Dan,
nice.
it's $10. I bought it. I played maybe 15 or 20 minutes before I was due to play a golf game with my brother.
Yeah.
I joined a multiplayer match. They have unranked and ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Both had 0 people playing it, much like I expected. I joined an unranked match, and then I think I was playing against a bot. I think it just like inserted a bot there.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can't really see the other person's movements very well. I'm not sure. The air hockey, though, let me get to the actual gameplay. The air hockey felt pretty solid. The puck, obviously, it moves so fast at times, which is similar to real air
Mm-hmm.
hockey, that it's pretty hard to follow. I didn't really try to like break the physics. I didn't notice anything real egregious. And it felt very responsive. Like, and I wasn't playing against somebody though. I was playing against an easy bot, so they weren't really trying to
Yeah.
really fast play me. You can play mixed reality, which is what I did. holding the paddle felt pretty good. Like your controller is basically like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
It must be a Unity thing because that's what your hands are in grab too.
Mm.
And then you grab the handle,
Yeah, the
the
puck,
air hockey
the
handle
not
puck
the
thing.
puck. Yeah.
I don't know what you call that. Yeah, and that felt pretty natural. Like I
Mm.
thought. I think because I wasn't playing on a real table, I could just move it. It just stayed with where my hand was. There's no
Oh, I see. I
verticality.
see.
Like there was
Yeah,
no
it's
pulling
locked.
it off of the table.
Yeah, you're
It'll
locked
always
on.
be on the table. Yeah.
That's good.
Which is good because you don't want to lift it up and then for the thing
Well,
to go under it. And you're like, damn, I thought I
you
was.
would naturally lift it
Yeah.
up and such because obviously you're not actually on a table, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good that's locked.
I honestly feel like if I was playing on a real table, it would have been weirder or less immersive because like then you have to keep your
Yeah,
controller
yeah.
up and you don't want to hit the table. I don't really
You don't
know.
really need that.
I'm gonna have to convince somebody to spend $10 so I can actually try to play against somebody.
Mm.
But it was just I was more thinking like, oh, my mom loves air hockey. Maybe I could show her how. It seemed like a decent intro game potentially because people vaguely. I like these games that people understand what they like. I don't have to explain what the game is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
People understand the concept of air hockey once they see what's in front of them.
Mm.
I don't have to be like, hey, grab that and hit the puck. They just will
Yeah,
intuitively do
for
that.
sure.
But yeah, we'll see. It could be a hidden gem. It also could be a hidden crap.
Yeah. Sorry, just on my end, it just cut out slightly there. But I just remind.
Oh, no worries. That's how the intro starts. Every single time we start the pod, I hear your intro start, and then you freeze up, and then luckily it usually comes back by the time like, "How are you, Samson?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right."
I was actually about to say that I just thought of that reminded me of 4VR Pool does mixed reality now, and I kind of just thought about it. I was like, oh, that's a good one to show my dad as well. I feel like the mixed reality just
You
helps.
need some room though.
Yeah, yeah.
The pool table's
I'll
big.
download it and see what it's like in the living room. Our living room's like a decent size, but then there's a lot of furniture around too, so I don't know if it will work just yet properly because there's a TV on the wall and that might be in the way. But I don't know. I want to try it out. I want to see what it's like.
Right.
Okay, and then the final question was from Kimberly through our Discord. She said, "What VR advancement, hardware or software from 2023 was the best in your opinion?"
Yeah.
I'll start off with you, Samson.
Oh, well, it's an easy one for me, I guess. I didn't think too long or hard about this one, as it is the mixed reality on the Quest 3.
Yeah. Well, I guess just what we've been saying is just it's so accessible for new people as well, and how easy.
Yeah.
11 table tennis has just changed being in mixed reality because you're no longer worried about hitting your sides of your wall or anything like that because
Your racket club.
racket club's a big one. I think I only play racket club in mixed reality now. I think it's the only kind of way to play,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how mixed reality's become. It's one of those like in some ways it's a bit of a gimmick, but in some ways it's not. Like and that's more just to do with the certain types of games that some of the games have just put out mixed reality mode just for the sake of having a mixed reality mode, but then there's some games it's just really good and it works so well, and even with synth riders is really fun. When it works well. I know you've had issues with it, but like when it works well, it's really
Yeah, I like to be immersed for that one. It's a really good way a really quality way to show off VR to new people because it keeps them grounded and connected to the real world.
For sure. Absolutely. I would say in terms of VR advancement, hardware and software, I'm going to put it all in one. The Quest 3, just in general, has been amazing because it's kind of like a very broad answer, but like if I go in depth in it, but it's more of like it's just how fast it is and how like when you put it on, there's no like Guardian issues that I remember that Quest 2 had. A lot of the software issues that Quest 2 had has been kind of eliminated with the Quest 3. It's just so much more smoother. Obviously, we've always talked about the layout and such, and that could be slightly improved and such, but they are updating it constantly and all that. And it just works. It's just really nice, and it's nice to have it so sharp as well when you're going through. And another nice feature as well is the fact that if I give it to like my dad to try, I don't know what his FOV is. I haven't measured it, but it's it's going to be pretty fine because I remember putting the FOV up to like 60. Is it 60? No, yeah, down to 60, sorry. And then up to
72
like
or something.
70. And then still not really having much issue in terms of how it looks because the sweet spot is so large. And that's amazing to have as well. So it's a bit of a broad answer, but the Quest 3, I think I'm having a great time. I've not really had any issues software wise. I've had issues with certain games, like I've talked about Assassin's Creed in a second. But in terms of the actual like UI and going through it and the battery's been good and the hardware's been so sleek and nice until you add like a big bulky battery strap and such on it. But like overall the hardware's really sleek. So yeah, it's the Quest 3 has been a big advancement. I just can't wait until we start to see a lot of the games that really take advantage of the hardware because we're just not there yet. It's just going to take some time. It's just going to take some time.
True. Dan, speaking of new hardware that just works seamlessly, I'm going to talk about my Quest Pro controllers here, Dan, because they have been giving me lots of issues.
Oh, gone?
Yeah. They keep disconnecting. They'll be connected, but I'll go to the settings bar and there'll be a little question mark, like it's lost tracking for some reason. And I'll shut down the headset. I'll put the controllers on the dock. I'll hope that fixes it. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. I've had to the thing that seems to work every time, but that's most annoying, is to unsync and resync the controller. I have to get my phone app out. I have to repair the controllers. I even went so far last night. I got so frustrated. I just repaired my Quest 3 controllers. But then my brother wanted to golf, and I was like, "Ooh, full swing golf! I actually want this Pro controller." So I resynced my Pro controller, and then it worked again because, like I said, that's how I've been solving it. Is it because I dropped them each once? I don't know. That seems like it could be crazy. That would be crazy. I treat them decently well. I'd say they got a couple scuffs because of those two falls, but outside of those two falls, they've been good. I did see Supernatural has a Oculus Pro controller grip thing that like sort of covers it. I don't know. I bought it. We'll see if it helps and or comes and how it fits well. But yeah, I don't buy these controllers at their full price.
No, they're like $300, right?
But
and
when they're working well, Dan, I love them.
Yeah, I that was my favorite part of the probably one of the main like favorite parts of the Quest Pro. I was gonna say my favorite, but I was like, actually, there's a few things, but it's just those controllers. First of all, it's just how like weighty they are. Like the added weight is just nice. It's just really really nice to have, especially when you're playing Walkabout. When it adds some weight, it keeps your putts more stable.
It might be because I turned up the vibration again. Not all the way to 100, but I had turned it way down before, and I'm thinking that the vibrator in there might be fucking with it a little. So maybe I'll turn it down a little again.
Yeah, maybe the Rumble's having issues. That's a shame. But let's move on to what we've been playing to wrap up this part here. Sam, so I'm going to start.
This part is only beginning. I assure you.
I'm going to start because I haven't seen your list, but there's always a list.
There's a list.
Let me start because I only have one thing, and that's Assassin's Creed. I've been playing it constantly. I had Cookie Run. I have Asgard's Wrath that I was meaning to play. But the thing is, every time I had a moment over this last week, I've just wanted to play more Assassin's Creed, and I'm in the middle of the chapter 12 right now. So I finished. Nice. I think I finished 11, and I'm in the middle of chapter 12 right now. And I'm just having a great time.
Almost there.
And it's fun now to be I'm currently in Rhode Island. And it's I'm currently in Rhode Island, which I was at Rhode Island earlier this year, and it's fun to be in there. Like I said, with Connor's still my favorite because I love throwing the axe on someone is satisfying. It becomes very difficult when you have like 10 people chasing you. You throw an axe at them, it hits them, but it doesn't do anything too much. You have to fight, you have to pick it up again and hit them again.
Yeah, those big guys.
But when they don't see you, it obviously just hits their head, and it's really satisfying if you get it from far away. But yeah, I'm having such a great time in Assassin's Creed. Yeah, there's not much more to say about it in terms of like it's just me getting more comfortable at the game, better at the parkour, better at killing people quickly, you know, with that hidden blade and such. Only adds to how good the game starts to get. Just because I'm just getting better at it and faster and more slick, and there's obviously it's a very first game, you know, in a way, like very Assassin's Creed 1 kind of say, where it's in a
Mm,
way bare bones, in a way. It kind of like you're doing the main story and you're not really thinking about the extra stuff as much, just because they're not as much meaningful. Like there's no like side missions or anything. Like you might have parkour stuff or finding hidden treasures, but there's no like, oh yeah, you could do a quest, you know, not like Asgard's Wrath anyway. So
right.
but it's so good. It's definitely it's one of my, I think at the moment, you know, actually, it would be actually out of all the games that I played this year, it's definitely my favorite. I was just thinking, I was like, hold on,
Nice.
there's not too many games that I've played for this long an extent,
Yeah.
you know. So it's been 12. I think that's been 12 hours. I've been playing it for now. I think there's 16 chapters in total, and they did say it's
Yeah.
around 16 hours. So to be fair, a chapter does take me like 45 minutes at least, like 45 minutes to an hour. So yeah, having an amazing time with it. Really, really loving it. And if you haven't played it, definitely get it. Or if you played it and you didn't really like the first hour or something, I would say try and
For
continue with
sure.
it.
It's still tutorial.
That first
I
hour,
will say,
2 hours, yeah.
Dan, I saw you were in this, as we are friends on the Oculus, and I was like, I can't have him complete this game and me not complete it. So I also hopped back in. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do what Mike and D Scruffles, told me to do, and not pick up Asgard's Wrath again until I finish Assassin's Creed. But ultimately, Dan, you know what? I keep wanting to push through, and I want story game. I love the idea of them,
Yeah.
right? But I just want to play freaking Racket Club, dude.
I know. I
Uh,
know what you mean. Sometimes you just want that quick
but
bite size, like just to have a fun time, and you know, you don't need like a heavy story or anything like that.
yeah, exactly. I will say, so I hopped back into Assassin's Creed, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty fun. It'd been a few weeks since I had played, and it all just came back pretty naturally.
Yeah.
But a little bit into me playing, I think I finished one of the levels, and then I started the next one. I don't know, around 8, 9, or 10, 8 or 9 probably. And all of a sudden I see my left hand isn't moving. I'm like, all right. Or as I was playing, it kept pausing. I was like, why does the game
Yeah.
keep pausing? I don't even know what the pause button is. Then I noticed my left hand stopped moving. I'm like, all right, great. Now I'm having controller issues. Let's try to do as much as I can. Like the controller was still moving, so I could use the joystick to move, but
Mm.
it wouldn't
But it wasn't
like
motion,
register
yeah.
it. Yeah. And then next thing I know, the game just starts crashing, like frame drops,
Mm.
and I'm like, all right, this is just unmanageable. So I shut it down. I resync the controllers, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll go back to this again later.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
I
fair.
did. I did hop in. I was like, damn, I was really having recency bias when I was talking about Asgard's Wrath in this, because this game really is pretty fun. But yeah, ultimately, neither of them are really for me.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna keep pushing. But yeah,
I've
I
been
much prefer games like golf and Racket Club, where I just like,
yeah, I
or
understand you.
even Dungeons of Eternity, where there's like you
You
can
do
go in
bite
short bits,
size,
like the
right?
story doesn't. Yeah, yeah,
And I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm more on your end when, especially when it comes to VR. But for some reason, Assassin's Creed is really grabbing me because I can just do that
yeah,
one mission, and that will be like my playthrough for the day, kind of thing. But
yeah.
just on that, before you continue, I just realized that have had lots of issues and glitches with Assassin's Creed recently, where stuff like the end of Cassandra in like chapter 10 or something like that, or chapter 9. Basically, you're with the Romans, but you're in Athens, and essentially you have to kill this Roman guy who's like this big brute. Like, there's the first time you kind of really see like a big brute guy where, you know, it takes a lot to kill him. You can't just like, if I throw an arrow at him, he might not die immediately. Like, he'll continue fighting with an arrow in his head. It's quite funny to see that.
And just ding.
Yeah, but once I was finding the Roman guy, and he was the last guy. You had to kill him, and it got to a point where he just kept running on the spot, but didn't really do anything. He didn't
Yeah.
like fight, and then when I hit like my sword at him and such, like nothing would happen, and you couldn't progress until you kill him. So I just got an arrow, bow and arrowed him, and then he died after that. And I was like, okay. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot, especially when there's a lot of enemies on screen when they're attacking you all at once. Sometimes it can get a little bit glitchy. So that's another thing to improve on the second one, is to tighten those up a bit. But I had a lot of few like software bugs, not software bugs to where I have to restart the game or anything. I've always managed to get
Hmm.
through somehow, but there has been some issues. But
Nice. Moving right along, I guess since I mentioned it a bunch, I mean, I played obviously Racket Club. I started off playing just bots. I was trying to do the drills. The drills get tough, Dan. They get really tough. I haven't even been able to finish all the
yeah,
drills. But I decided to hop into some multiplayer rooms. The way it works is there's a Racket Club, and there's a few clubs you can
hmm
choose. Generally, I've been seeing 3 clubs with people in them. They're usually they go up to 15 people, 10, then like 7, and then one with like 3 or 4 people. I'll just join one, and I've only had a good time. Met some lovely people. Everyone so far has been pretty kind. Met some kids, met some older people. And this game just blows my mind. The fact that you can watch. So if you're not playing, you could watch a doubles court, which is 4 people with a ball, and then a singles court, which is 2 people and a ball. At the same time, you're watching these games with all physics, and that just blows my mind that
yeah,
you
that
can
is
do all
crazy.
that. It's crazy. It's like you're at a real freaking tennis court.
It's so immersive. It's
Um,
wicked. Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah, actually, I was with Amelia, and we were like, "Hey, let's play a singles game." And then we walked around, and all the singles courts were full. And I was like, "This is like this is like a real racket club."
Yeah,
Like we had to go to, but luckily, unlike a real racket club, we could just make our own. We
you
just
can just
went
make
to a
your own
new
call.
room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
kind of funny where you're just walking around like, oh, there's no calls. You have to sit down for 20 minutes until the next people.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. There's lots of rackets you can unlock, so I've been trying to do that. I can't tell the difference between the rackets yet,
Yeah,
but I'm
me
sure
neither,
there
to be
is some
honest.
sort of difference.
That's fair.
Um, but yeah, lots of fun. It blew my mind when I met somebody who just got their Quest 2 for Christmas, and that was the first game they're like, yeah, I play Roblox and I got this. And in my head, I'm just like,
Yeah,
how is Racket Club the first game you discovered or like bought?
yeah.
Maybe, and I would have said they were a tennis player or something, but judging by how they played Racket Club, I'm gonna not make that assumption. So yeah,
Yeah, it's just a difference
get
now.
Racket
Like,
Club if you're into it.
the games are evolving. Racket Club's now going to be right front center and an easy, accessible game for a lot of people to pick up. So
Yeah.
it definitely gives me that Wii tennis
You,
kind of feel where it's
you need
space.
space, though. You definitely need space.
Yeah, you do need space. That's true. That's true.
And I did start playing doubles because obviously when I joined online there were more people. I love the doubles way more. The
Yeah.
court, having the larger court, it plays so different. It plays so different.
Okay.
I
I
enjoy it.
haven't
I
tried that.
enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll have to try it.
Yeah. Got into Synth Riders, played their Christmas tune. It
Mm.
was solid. Give it a
They had a
whirl before it
walkabout
goes away for the season.
collaboration as well, right?
They also have a walkabout collab. That was weird to play,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good. It's good. You're like I'm playing a walkabout song. It's so odd.
Fair enough.
Speaking of rhythm games, I'll stick in that vein here because I also hopped into Samba de Amigo again.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of hard on the shoulders, Dan.
Oh, is it?
It it feels like an anime is like taking a dump on all of your senses. It's just like, oh my god, there's so much coming at me.
Yeah,
I'm doing
yeah.
this and this and this, and yeah, it's pretty fun. But I don't know that it's like going to be my go-to rhythm game there.
That's fair.
But I've had some fun. I think I've leveled up a few times. I've played a few songs on the 3 difficulties. It's if you have nostalgia or like Samba de Amigo, you'll probably like this. Yeah,
I
think
don't
I'll
have
pick
any
it up here and
nostalgia. I
there.
didn't even know that game existed, to
Yeah,
be honest. But it was,
I had never heard of it. I'll probably try and play through all the songs at least once and
yeah,
call it a day there.
yeah. So
Um, Got into Breachers. It was a nice sized lobby because Dan, Breachers came to PSVR, and we got someone from the PSVR Without Parole Discord to
Oh,
join in,
nice.
Angry Puppy. So thank you for joining us. And yeah, it was just an all around great time.
Yeah. Do you always play with your haptic vest now, or?
Oh, Dan. So the other day, because I get some Metabucks, these referrals, I bought the gun skin pack on my Meta. So, but I didn't want to resync up my B haptics with it or
Right.
whatever. I pretty much just use it with my PC. And so it felt weird. It felt like I was missing something when I didn't wear it. So then I actually played a stream with shout out to Zim Talk 5. He did a Breacher stream on Christmas Eve, I think, or Christmas Eve's Eve. I don't know. Brandon joined, and he hadn't played. There's a new map, the Arctic map, and he had not played Ship either. And yeah, it was an all around good time. Zim has an old friend, McNudie. His dude had apparently never played Breachers. He was so freaking good. He's just an all around good guy at FPS games. I guess.
Some people are
Such a
naturals
good
when
shot.
it comes to those games.
It's crazy.
People are naturals. Yeah, fair. Nice. Anything else? Anything else have you been playing?
Yeah, Dan. There's a few other things I got in. Not for very long. Because I'm gonna talk briefly about this one. Pillow. I just wanted to see what it is. It's an app that's designed to be used while you lay down. And so this was just pretty intriguing to me. Interesting concept. I didn't try all the games, so I'm going to talk about this one, more to come on a later episode. But it felt interesting to like be fishing, to using VR up.
Yeah.
It was like such an interesting
What head strap were you wearing when you did this? Did you do
I just wore my normal Halo strap, but I got a pillow behind you.
That's fine. Yeah, I was worried about doing that app because I was like, okay, it might not work as well when you're just lying down with the straps. With the soft strap, absolutely, of course. Probably the best thing about the soft strap is when you have a lying down game. Although there's probably not many, if any. But yeah, okay. I might try it because the Bobo one's quite bulky at the back when everything's on, right? When it's on your head. So if you've been okay with that, then yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, Pillow seems to be an app that you're meant to use before bed for like 5 to 10 minutes. It's got some relaxing things, and obviously you're meant to be laying down. So
nice.
That's their goal.
Nice.
And actually least, HoloFit.
Yeah.
I tried HoloFit VR, Dan, and HoloFit is a game, a workout game.
Is this the archery one?
No, that is Tiny Archers, which I also bought, but I haven't hopped in yet.
Yeah.
HoloFit I think you can run. I hooked up a cadence sensor, which I believe works Bluetooth. Put that on my stationary bike, goes in circles. HoloFit, it connects to my HoloFit app on my Quest.
I'm thinking Point, by the way. Hollow Point is the
I got you.
one. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So this is the fitness bike one.
Yep. And it felt cool to be moving in VR at the same pace I was cycling, but outside of that, pretty unimpressive stuff. It does have a paywall. I was just doing the free stuff. I found it pretty unimpressive graphically. I first went through a tropical, Christmassy environment that had some sort of like native people in it as well for some reason. Anyway, I'm not too sure why someone would choose HoloFit over like watching TV, while I'm riding my bike, because I just got this big bulky thing on that I'm sweating and looking at. You're meant to look at things to get points, or like it's kind of like shooting them, kind of like a Pokemon Snap, if you will. I don't really know. I had a hard time telling what I was just looking all around, and sometimes it would be like, you found this. So I was like, cool. Yeah. I like kind of want to get a month and try it for the people, but I'm also pretty unimpressed and not. I feel like I'd just rather watch TV.
It's a weird one, right? Because like technically you're sweating and you're wearing this bulky thing while exercising, but that's the same thing when you're playing like Synth Riders or Supernatural or like a
Yeah, it's
proper
just not
fitness.
fun.
Yeah, it's that. I think that's the main thing. I said you got to make it fun. If it's not fun, then you're going to notice the bulky thing on your face, and it's not going to feel
It's also like doing something that I would normally do, but making it unequivocally
worse.
worse to do. Like, sure, Synth Riders is working out, but I wouldn't be playing, like, I wouldn't
Yeah,
just be standing there
yeah,
moving my arms, not playing Synth Riders, right? Whereas I would be riding my bike, like watching something.
that's
Uh,
fair. Yeah,
so
don't worry.
yeah,
You don't need to get it for the people. I think the people
it
know.
does make me want, like, it would never happen, right? Because there's no user base for it. But if there was a game where that was your actual method of movement and you really gamified it and made it some sort of cool
See, that's what
shooter or something like that, but they're just not there
because
yet.
you can buy like I mean when you buy like a Peloton or when you buy like some of the other ones like that, you can do or even at the gym sometimes you can go okay I'm riding in a Safari or something like that and you're doing that and people I think people like that because it makes you feel like you're riding there rather than just in one
Right.
spot. So I understand that, but yeah, it's a tough one to sell. Um, on top, I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me. I think I prefer something like
Yeah.
Supernatural and really getting into it that way. But yeah, that's fair
Yeah.
enough. I've
I
definitely not
agree.
done any workout apps over Christmas because it's Christmas.
Nice. And that's that.
And that's that. All right, that will do for part one. Thanks everyone who put in your listener questions. And remember, if you want, any episode, we could do listener questions if anyone sends them in on the Spotify, on the Discord, or on the YouTube comments, or let's talk Oculus at gmail.com. Feel free and we will answer them. Anyway, let's wrap up part one. In part two, we will go through the year. We will look back on 2023 and look at the pros and the cons and all that. So we'll see you then.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part two. This time we're going to go in the year in review. So in 2023, it's been a bit of an odd year because we've had new hardware. It was the start of the year was like the Quest Pro came out right towards the end of last year. So the start of the year was like, okay, let's see what the Quest Pro is going to do now and all that. And that kind of went sour very quickly, as we will get into in a moment. And then obviously we've had new hardware in the rest of VR. We've had the PSVR 2, we've had HTCs, we've had I think that's it. Actually, I was trying to say the visor, sorry, the immersed visor was announced. The big screen beyond was also something that came out as well. So obviously we're going to focus more on the Quest and obviously what we were playing, but we'll mention the other ones too. But what I think we'll go through each month, and I've noted down. I went basically yesterday on Christmas Day. We had a little bit of downtime whilst the food was making, so I was like, okay, let's prepare for this show. I went through Road to VR, and I went through every single article from January. I normally do it last year. I did it on Upload VR, but they've changed their website, so it's a bit harder to go through it like that. Where
By
Road to
month.
VR it's
Yeah.
easy because it's a big long list. And I went through and I was like, okay, anything significant happened. So I wrote down the significant stuff. So let's go through month to month, and we'll take a look back on 2023. So in January, we had the HTC Vive Elite, which was like the pro competitor that came out. Obviously not really for us, but that was something that got announced. I think came out as well. Grid Legends was the major release that month for Quest, which was utter disappointment on the day, but some people really love it now. It's about a 30 gig game, I remember, but it's very much a port from the like flat screen versions. It looks so bad. It's kind of funny how bad it looks, but it's just Grid Legends was. I can't believe that was in January too. It feels like that was like a couple years ago. but lo and behold, it was this year. Thrill of the Fight 2 was formally announced as well, so that's still not out, but it was formally announced, so we know it's properly coming now. And the initial Meta Quest Pro price drop to $1,100 happened, and this was like the start of the decline of
to compete with that Vive.
Yeah, the HTC Vive was $1,100, so they discounted that. So that was pretty much January. Obviously, the thing is, in January normally a dull kind of month, but things started to happen with hardware wise. We had lots of rumors on the Quest 3 at this point. We had lots of rumors on the PlayStation VR 2 because that was shown in 2022 but not been released. That was February. Samsung, in terms of the Quest Pro, have you been surprised on how like quickly and hard that fell? Because I thought this year would finally like start to see stuff that will make the Quest Pro the reason why you spend $1,500 on that Quest Pro, but instead it really went downhill rapidly.
Well, Dan, the thing is to fall, you must fall from something. I don't think that it was ever
up there
that high up to fall.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it was always, I feel like it's been pretty well known now that it was really delayed. Like if the Quest Pro had come out a year earlier, it would have fit much better in the segment it was looking for. Whereas it came out late, just a year before the new chipset, with these other features that are more advanced, but with the old chip. And it was just right off the bat felt kind of dated in that way, much like the PSVR 2 felt dated in some ways when it released.
Yeah.
And so I was nothing about the Quest Pro has really surprised me, I'd say. And I don't really know that it ever really had I feel like so many dominoes fell that put it in a position where it couldn't really succeed. And then Meta could have just scrapped it, or they just went ahead and they were like, all right, let's just go for it. And let's just get rid of this. And yeah, I think that's so. Am I surprised? Not too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not too.
You make a valid point. All the rumors and such when it did come out, the lack of the depth sensor as well. The Quest 3 coming out, kind of the Quest 3 in a way kind of completely killed this device, to be honest. Obviously the only option. The reason why you get Quest Pro now, I guess, would be the eye and facial tracking. But then there's also, I would say, like having the HTC Vive Elite is probably a better option if you're in that kind of realm of headset.
It could be a better PCVR headset in theory because it's got the local dimming too.
Yep.
But
it's little things that it's just
a hard sell.
Yeah, and it's even though it has stuff like local dimming and such, and the eye tracking, face tracking, and all that stuff. There's so many things that are missing or just now already outdated because of the Quest 3 as well. So it's just they've kind of killed it themselves in a way. But the high price point was never going to help anybody, to be honest. And obviously with HTC coming in at $1,100, so yeah, I just I feel bad for the early adopters out there, but obviously that's early adoption. It's just a shame that you see these tech companies when they put out something and it seems really exciting. If it doesn't do well, they would kill it immediately. It's not like they're not letting it linger as much anymore, to be honest.
Right.
So let's move on to February, because that was more of the same, but with a different hardware, and that's the PSVR 2. And people who are fans of this show from early on, or at least earlier this year, would know how much, especially me, how excited I was for this specific hardware. I was buzzing. And my partner knew I was buzzing for it, and she was like, oh, yeah, okay, this is, you're talking about this all the time. And I was like, yeah, this is my PC VR. It's going to be my PC VR. It's going to be my second headset. But PC VR, I was hyped for it. And it's been, it didn't start off with initial, total disappointment, but there was a bit of a disappointment where it felt, it just like you said with the Quest Pro, it felt very dated in a lot of aspects. Now, there are a few things that aren't. For example, the haptic feedbacks in the controllers, in the actual headset itself as well. At the time, the pass-through, even though you don't really need to pass through, it did look really good. And obviously the games the Horizon Call of the Mountains is absolutely beautiful. Like it's absolutely stunning playing that
Yeah.
game and how vibrant that game is. And I had a great time. And actually, kind of sad that I didn't finish it before I sold my PSVR 2, to be honest. But that's an
Yeah, that
interesting.
should be your hardware
That
disappointment
is
of the year,
my own
really.
regret of my own disappointment of myself. But this is a similar. I think PSVR 2 right now is in a very similar place as the Meta Quest Pro was when it came out. Like it's very expensive if you really think about it. Compared to, you're adding a PlayStation 5 on top of that, right? So it's an expensive hardware for. And I feel like expensive hardware when it comes to VR, it's hard to sell that because VR is still very much, I wouldn't say unproven, but like accepted by the masses yet, especially in that, in
Hmm.
the flat screen gamers and such. So I feel like you really need a cheaper alternative. You need a $200-300 headset. Like if the PlayStation VR came out with their own Quest 2 that was running, or even their own Quest 3 that didn't have any internals and it was just running directly from.
I mean, Dan, if it didn't have face haptics and eye tracking, it would probably, be
Yeah, probably be
probably at
there.
least a
Yeah, probably
hundred,
be there.
$150 cheaper.
Yeah, so like, yeah, it's been a very disappointing because if someone the big screen beyond, I know it's like 1,000. I know it's a bit different, and also it's a smaller company, so the margins have to be a bit different. But if they came out with a headset which was very similar to that, where it just tethered to the PlayStation and like it does now, but it's small and such, and it's more attractive to non VR players and non VR believers, then they would have had it. I feel like they may have got it wrong, but we've just got to wait and see. It's at that stage where next year, 2024, will be make or break for the PlayStation VR 2. It's either going to be a device that's going to catch on, or it's going to be a device that is going to be always going to be around. I think Sony's not one to just cut things. They'll let it linger, but it just might just be in the background for those specific people who like it. And the odd few games, the games that come out on Quest 3 will come out on PlayStation VR 2, and maybe you'll have the odd one or two exclusives, but nothing big from Sony. But it's
Maybe it'll get better with the PS5 Pro.
maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to do anything. You still like? You ever been? No, you were tempted, obviously, to get the PSVR 2 when it first came out because of the hype and
Me,
such. But
I still haven't played it.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I know we got a few people who are listening who have a PSVR 2 and have a good time. Some people, I think Kimberly, Patreon and fan of the show, she won it in a competition. I think she returned it initially because she didn't like it, or she had some sort of issue with it, and then won it in a competition. But it's kind of been sitting there as well. It's not really won, but yeah, that was probably my biggest disappointment in terms of non Quest. It was the PSVR 2, to be honest. All right, moving on to March. March, the Quest Pro had the
Marching forward.
official price drop to $1,000. It stayed there ever since. Ghost of Tabor was PC early access, which won VR Game of the Year, I believe. Ghost of Tabor.
Yeah, on some, I think Upload was no, it was
I thought it
something.
was
I
on the
forget who
VR
gave
Game
it to them.
Awards it
Yeah,
won
it
on
wasn't
there.
Upload. You're right. You're right.
And then Samson, probably maybe your favorite game of the year, Vertigo 2, got released at end of March.
Yeah.
Game that's now out for PlayStation VR. I don't know. It already got delayed.
No, I think it's out in January. Its release date got
Got it.
pushed. I was looking at my Steam, gear and review or
Yeah.
whatever. I only played Vertigo 2 in April. I played all 19 hours of it.
Yeah.
Then, so I've got now that it's got the new game plus and haptic support. I do have to hop back in, but it goes back down further past Assassin's Creed and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll see.
for sure. But you okay? So, but you love that game, right? I remember though the
Oh, it
podcast,
was fantastic.
back in March. I think you were playing. That was what I'm saying now is what I'm playing Assassin's Creed all the time. I think the last 3 podcasts in a row. I think for you is just Vertigo Do. Yeah, I'm on Vertigo Do, and you
Yeah, I
finished it
mean,
quite quickly.
it'd been a while since a game sort of did that. I sort of did it with Hubris too,
Yeah.
but where I just like I every night I came home from work, I was like, all right, I
Mm.
gotta. And for Vertigo, I kept thinking I was close to the end, and then I'd be like, oh, crap, I'm not close to the end at all. Like, I got a whole new. I had hours left.
Yeah, that's true. I think Vertigo 2 and Hubris have been your two games of like more story driven in a way that that's
Yeah.
really captured you. All right, that was March. Then April, nothing really much happened. Breaches came out, which I can't believe was in March. I always thought it was, April. I thought it was like later on down the line, but Breaches actually came out around then. Eye of the Temple was ported to Quest, which was a pretty big deal because that was a big game on the PC VR. Obviously, we spoke lengths about Breaches on this show, so we don't have to give it too much. But that was it really for April. It's not much. I think it was in April or maybe at the beginning of May when we first finally realized that the Quest Gaming Showcase was happening in June, because for the longest time we didn't hear anything, and normally it happens in April, and we weren't sure that was even going to happen. But yeah, I think it was the beginning of May. In May we had games like Hello Neighbor, which came out, which I remember, Samson, you didn't like, right? It wasn't a game that you.
Yeah, it wasn't too great.
No, I still haven't played it. I've got it on my
Well, it released with a lot of bugs.
Yeah, right. And you've got games like We Are the One, Pixel Rip 1978, which is a big deal, Dead Hook, Rogue Ascent. I had a good time with Rogue Ascent, I remember. Windlands as well. But then Hubris was a game that we both really liked. You loved. I mean, if I didn't sell my PlayStation VR, I would have finished it. But I made a lot of progress in that one. But Hubris is a fun game. It still feels like indie, but at the same time has like a lot of polish to it, right?
Yeah. It feels more indie playing like Assassin's Creed
sure.
and Asgard's Wrath. You're like, oh yeah, these things do feel a bit crisper or whatever. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. So,
and then June happened, and that was the fireworks month. You know, actually, I was here in the UK actually at the same camera angle with the same potato cam, doing the live stream, because we did like a very short one because the Meta Quest 3 got revealed early on in the day on June 1st. I think it was June 1st, and then the Quest Gaming Showcase was later on. Which we did a live stream on, which was a bunch of fun. And it was a great showcase. We had Jenna on, a friend of the show, and Discord and Patreon. But we had a great time. There was a lot of good games that got announced, and obviously the games that we'll talk about at the tail end of the year. But that was probably the strongest gaming showcase that we've had. It's like Meta finally hit their stride, and they know what to do, and it's just game after game after game after game after game. It was a great showcase.
Yeah, that was a quality month. That was a quality month, Dan. Plus, we got the AVP.
Well, the AVP, Alien vs. Predator, the week after, as the Apple Vision Pro got revealed as well, which is a pretty big deal. I've also heard rumors that the Vision Pro will be out for January or February next year.
I think Feb.
Yeah, like it'll be just US only, and it'll start to gradually come out. But it'd be interesting to see. VR is going to start changing big time once that's out. For at least for the business kind of end, enterprise kind of end, mass adoption. I'm very excited. Very excited to. I'm not going to get one myself. It's way too expensive, but I'm very excited to see and hear it, and obviously try it in the store. And then the Meta Quest Plus also got announced, which is obviously their monthly subscription, which I still haven't redeemed. And for those of you who haven't redeemed it since getting a Quest 3, it expires from January 16th. So I'm going to redeem it from January onwards to have the first 6 months of next year. But yeah, your monthly games come out. Obviously, you're a subscriber, obviously, because you have your 6 months, right? I was going to ask if you already subscribed, but at the same time, most of those games you probably own.
Yeah, I have subscribed, and I think the only one I haven't owned so far is the original NFL Pro Era, and I own the sequel.
You own the sequel. Perfect. July, nothing. We had Jupiter Grad 2, which was the biggest game. Same with August. I'm going to skip ahead. This is I Expect You to Die 3, which was the biggest game. Moving on to September, we've had the Meta keynote towards the end of September, and this was the big one. This is the one where we finally hear more details about the Quest 3. And in fact, we didn't hear too much details. It was more just the release date and the price and the SKUs more than anything. Pre-order, I think we did get most of it earlier on, and trickled in. But once again, we did another live stream. I forgot to write it down, but I'm pretty sure it was around this time where we had episode 100 for Let's Talk Oculus, and we had our live stream, which was super fun around that time as well. So that was pretty wicked. I'm hoping one day, maybe episode 200, maybe episode 300, we can become big enough where we can all meet up in like a PAX East or something like that.
Dan, I'll be there. I'll be at PAX
You'll be at
East.
this one, yeah. You'll be at this one. I'll probably be at the maybe 2025 one because I'll be more on the probably moving to the East Coast by then. But yeah. So let's move on to the main 3 months, okay? And this is a bit weird one because obviously this was the last 3 months of the podcast. So if you probably heard all of this stuff before, but in October
Now we've got some new listeners. Dan.
we've got some new listeners. In October we've had the Quest 3 launch, okay? We both obviously got it at launch time. We both got the 512. Go check out those episodes if you want to hear our initial thoughts on that. Steam, for the PC VR users, Steam VR 2.0 got released, which was a big deal because it's been kind of not ignored, but like nothing's really happened for Steam VR for a long time, and they released a brand new update with a bunch of new features, and as well later on we'll have the Steam Link in there.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it means Steam are still on the VR radar. Throughout the whole year, we've had a lot of rumors for Decade, which is their rumored VR headset. So we may finally see something next year. Steam are an interesting company.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to. You can't predict what they're gonna do.
You can't predict Steam, no.
But they're working. They're working on something.
They're working. Just before the Quest 3 launch, though, one of your favorite games, Dungeons of Eternity, came out, and kind of, I'm glad it didn't really get forgotten because the Quest 3 launched, and because maybe that game just gets forgotten, but obviously not. Like, everyone was on that game big time and got a Quest 3 update very quickly too.
It took me a few weeks, I feel like, to get into Dungeons. I was not into it right at first. I don't really remember what was going on then, but I do feel like it took me a little while, and then once I was in,
woo, forget about it. We have the game BAM that came out, which was a mixed reality game with like Smash Brothers, but mixed reality. I haven't played that yet. Have you played that? Have you tried that one?
Nah, I've been waiting for somebody to play with because I booted it up once. I was like, all right, this is not meant to be played alone.
That's fair. Samba de Amigo came out. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord came out with some disappointing fans. Some people like it though. It's just got one of those mixed reviewed kind of games. Journey to Foundation, which is a big story game, which I own. There's just so many story games right now. It's like maybe one day I'll get to this. But the game for me this month was obviously the 7th Guest VR, and I think the only game this year that I finished, to be honest. But
I guess I got to make more bets with you.
Yeah, you got to make more bets. For those of you who don't know, Samson bet that I won't finish the game. I did finish the game, and then he gave away the game on the Discord. But that added a ton of fun with 7th Guest. That was so much fun. Just an easy puzzle kind of game to play and just to jump in now and again. And then moving on to November, well, I think November was by far it was the biggest month in terms of releases. This is what makes me worried. I'm like, this is maybe too much in 1 month. Let's kind of spread these around. But we had Power Wash Simulator, Vampire Masquerade, Demio Battles, Stride Fates, Pavlov Shack came into the store. Assassin's Creed Nexus, obviously. Rooms of Realities is another big one.
Oh,
Dan, yeah,
I forgot. I also played some Rooms of Realities.
The escape room.
Yeah, the escape room game. I tried all 3 of the rooms that are available. There's different difficulties on each map. We only did the first difficulty on all 3. Mm-hmm. If you like real life escape rooms, I think you'll like Rooms of Realities. There was one puzzle we encountered where the 3 of us were like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. So we used this hints. And so we used a hint and then we're like, oh, I get it now. But all the other puzzles felt like they felt similar to puzzles I had experienced in Escape Room. It's not really my strength of way of thinking. luckily in the first room I had numbers, and I was like, all right, I understand. I just have to look. I have to find the proper code. When I don't have like something that is that explicit, I kind of I lose interest and I get overwhelmed and
Yeah,
I
that's
get
fair.
frustrated. Dan,
I
I
own
rage
this.
quit.
I haven't played this yet. Have you played it on your own as well? Or
No, I just got in with Void and Creeper Betty.
nice, nice. And then Cookie Run: The Darkest Night also came out right at the end of November. What it's an absolute massive month of titles. I don't think I've ever seen this good of a month ever for the Quest, to be honest. And like I said, I personally, if I was being selfish, I would wish they just spread some of these games across the 2 months, and in December have Asgard's Wrath come out much later next year or something like that. But
No, you got to hit
you
Christmas.
got to hit Christmas. Yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? That's the thing. But for the people who already own VR, it's nice to have that steady release. I mean, I know at the same time that all the games are always going to be there. When you're ready to play them, you can play them. But yeah, it's something like keeping that hype. People like to jump into the newer stuff. And then December, obviously the months that we're just wrapping up now. Arizona Sunshine 2, which came out to a lot of good reviews. Lego Brick Tales, a game that you finished, Samson, last
I did.
yeah, which is great. Last week, I think you mentioned that, and then Racket Club, as we mentioned, Asgard's Wrath 2, which I still haven't played yet because I just kind of don't want to touch it. I don't want to half-ass like the first hour and then come back to it 3 weeks later once I've finished Assassin's Creed.
I think I've already done this.
Yeah. And then Xbox Game Pass was a big thing, and the Elite battery. I forgot to mention actually in November the Elite battery strap had issues, but I just looked at Road to VR and it looks like last week those issues have now been fixed, and they're currently selling them again. Potentially software issue which caused the battery strap issues. Xbox Game Pass, I've heard now twice on our Discord. I can't remember who said. Maybe it was The Walking Dad. One of the best handles I've ever heard, by the way. But he mentioned that the PS5 controller works fine, unofficial, but does pair fine. So I've actually meaning to try that, but obviously being Christmas, it's been so busy. The next time, and I've been playing Assassin's Creed when I've had a chance, you know. So yeah, I'll try to see if I can do it before I fly back to Vancouver. If not, I'll just try it back when I'm back at home. I'm not in too much of a rush, although I did speak to my uncle who I saw on Christmas Eve, who has the Quest, and we played Walkabout a few times, and he said he's tried the gameplay. He has an Xbox, but he's been trying it, and he said it's been working really well for him. And
All
he
right,
said
there you
the
go.
quality of the stream is really, really sharp. He said the only game that kind of wasn't the best was Mortal Kombat, which makes sense with the fast
Because you
pace.
have to be.
But he was playing Halo, just like offline, and he was playing Assassin's Creed. One of them, I can't remember. He loves Assassin's. He plays, but he said it was absolutely flawless. It was absolutely no problem. He said the screen. He said extra large or too large, but large was like the sweet spot. And he said it just maybe for his internet connection or something like that. He said
Yeah, that's impressive.
it worked really well. He said it wasn't obviously like 4K like on the TV, but it was still like really good and fun to have like a massive screen playing it. So yeah, mileage may vary when it comes to streaming, right? So
Yeah,
you just don't know.
for sure.
Samsung has been a solid year. In the end of the days, it started off rough.
Dan, I think what I'm most impressed with is how quickly you got through that segment, Dan. I was convinced the year was going to take us at least an hour.
Well, that's the
And
thing.
you crushed it. You crushed it in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because the year's been so kind of bland up until the major like February PSVR 2. June has got Apple Vision Pro and MetaQuest 3 reveal and gaming showcase, and then it's just the October, November, December. You know what we just kind of went through.
As we've been in this industry, if you will, for 2 years now, I feel like I've noticed the ebbs and flows. Right, people want their games out for the holidays.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the November, December crunch. Then there's going to be a bit of a lull, where people are just like trying to play those games, right?
Yeah.
And then there's summertime. You might get a couple bangers, in the springtime or whatever, but then summertime comes and there's a deeper lull. Something like it's even less and less. And then the end of summertime, you're like, ooh, you start hearing the rumors. Then you get the September, you get like the Apple stuff or whatever every year. You get the Meta thing every year. And then you're like, ooh, all right. And then before you know it, Dan, it's November, December.
You're true. Yeah. No, you're right. It kind of repeats itself each year. I think this year it felt especially dry early on in the year. I think because obviously a lot of people, well, we all kind of knew that the Quest 3 would be out at the end of the year. It was like, it was not even rumors. They said, it'll be out this year and such. So I think all the developers also just saved their games and made sure it waited until the Quest 3 came out, which makes a lot of sense, to be honest. But I just wish that I agree. Summertime for me, as you know, I hardly play any VR because it's just too goddamn hot. And the last thing I want to do is put the headset on my face. But I just wish that there is from January to maybe not January, but like from February to April, like have a good 3 months of decent releases, and then summer have your showcase for the rest of the year, which I think is fine. But January, I think it's fine having a January null because you're kind of still getting through some of the games from Christmas, and then I think it's fine having the summer kind of null. But yeah, it would be nice if they had a decent few releases before the showcase kind of thing. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, regardless, I have asked God of Us 2 to at least play a little bit of, and I still want to kind of buy Arizona Sunshine. I have enough credits now.
I have that. I haven't hopped in.
There we go. That's another game. I'm now intrigued about Brick Tales. I still have stuff like Journey to Foundation. I have Cookie Run to play. Like there's so many, and then Bulletstorm's coming out. Hopefully that reviews well. That's another game that I kind of want to play. So the game's always going to be there. They're always going to be there. And the only one thing I actually wanted to say before we kind of wrap up this show is last week I showed up the Kiwi head strap, the battery strap. One thing I've noticed, and I don't know, Samson, if you've noticed this with your Bobo strap or anything like that, but I had it fully charged. I charged the Quest up. They're both on 100%, the battery and the head strap. But it's always connected, right? So it's like pass-through charging from the head strap. So then I just left it, and I didn't play anything on Christmas Eve. I played nothing on Christmas Day. And I picked the headset up today on Boxing Day with the time that we're recording. And the headset was...
Boxing Day.
What do you call it?
It's just a day here. But that reminds me, there's probably some good football on.
There's some good NFL and soccer on. So I picked up the headset today, and obviously headset's still at 100%, which is great, but battery strap is dead. It's just completely drained over the last 2 days. Now I don't know if that was an issue of me. Maybe the Quest was on and I didn't realize or something, and it drained it or something like that. But I think the Quest obviously in standby mode, so it just the whole strap drained, which is a bit weird. I feel like that shouldn't happen.
Yep.
But
it was the Quest discharge though, I guess.
The Quest is fine. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to just have a look. But yeah, solid year overall. Samson, anything else before we wrap up here for today?
Sorry, Dan. I accidentally unplugged my headphone there. What was that?
I said anything else before we wrap up today?
Yes. Anything else? No.
Nah. That was it. That's our episode. That's the year done for podcast episode. I don't think we missed a week this year, which is pretty great. I think maybe one week tops, but I don't remember missing a week because even you and Jenna did one when I was away.
I tried hard. After missing 2 last year, I was like, all right, got to get down to it this year.
I don't think we missed a week this year, which is amazing. So thanks everyone for all your support for 2023. Obviously the new Patreons, I don't know how many Patreons we got this year, but I think we almost doubled this year. Samson's just
yeah, we've been just accruing the patrons.
Yeah, we've got the Patreon.
Keep it coming. No, we appreciate all of you.
We do appreciate all of you. We've got the Discord is up to almost 200, so I think that's almost doubled as well, which is crazy. When I had the Spotify Unwrapped it for our podcast, it said 80% of listeners are who they came in 2023, like they've discovered it during 2023, which is mad. I also had a crazy stat where it said 37 of you. This is your number one podcast. which is mad.
That's wild.
So that's why we really don't want to miss a week anymore, because we're like, you're probably looking forward to this for this episode.
I will say, Dan,
we don't wanna miss
like
it.
there were a few times, like last week, people get busy, right? Like I have become so accustomed during the end of my work shift, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at around 6:00, I'm going to watch PSVR Without Parole. And on Tuesday, Thursdays, I'm going to watch Live Open Mic. And like today, Mike is sick. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to watch at 6 p.m.? Like it like genuinely throws me off. And I get it. Everybody gets sick. Everybody needs a break. Like
Happens.
it's all well-deserved 100%, but it does. I would be lying if I didn't say it throws me for a loop. And so that's what I have now tried to, not put our listeners through. And yeah, I'm gonna try and stick with this. When we're busy, we try to record 2, and although sometimes it might not be most up to date or whatever, we still get it.
Absolutely. I mean, we have fun. This is not going away anytime soon. So thanks so much for everyone listening, and thanks for your support. Samson, I see that you were rustling some fortune cookie right there. Let's read our final fortune of 2023. Take it away.
I had found one but I wasn't sure if I'd already read it. I've just got fortunes laying around, so I was like, let's just open up a new cookie. If you understand what you're doing, you're not learning anything.
If you understand,
that's a bit of a negative one, but there we go.
If you understand what you're doing, you're not learning anything. So I get it.
Try new things, and try new things.
Try new things. Try and figure out new things. All right, that will wrap it up for our podcast for 2023. We will see you in the new year, where we'll discuss, I guess, New Year stuff, because that's the end of 2023. Anyway, take care, everyone.